Please double-click this TechWiz Layout program. By using the TechWiz Layout, we can design the mask layout and generate the mesh and project files by setting the stack information. So the first thing to do is create a new library. Click this new library button or go into the library and click new button. And then enter the library name and save the path. So as an example, I will enter the name as EX and I will change the saved path as the desktop and click OK button. And then another window shows up, which is to input the cell name. So I will also enter the cell name as EX and click OK button. So from now on, we are all set, ready to design the mask. Please double click the cell name and then let's move on to the next function, Layer Manager. The Layer Manager displays color and option status of the layers defined in the technology editor file. So how do we define a technology editor file called tech file? Move the mouse to the Layer Manager and click the right mouse button and select Technology Editor, or click Layer and then select Technology Editor. So through this window, you can set the name and purpose of each layer. Purpose definition is very essential. Exact purpose definition leads to exact calculation results, and also the voltage can apply to a layer whose purpose is defined as an electrode, and RC extraction can be performed. So if you click the purpose, there are 8 types of purpose, and each purpose is divided into detailed purpose. So I will give a brief explanation according to the purpose. So the first purpose is dummy. Dummy is for drawing a dummy mask. It is usually used for a guide mask. And there is a drawing. Drawing is for a dielectric layer with a mask. For example, active, contact, color filter, or BM, and so on. And there is a metal. Metal is for a metal mask such as pixel, common data, and gate electrodes. And there is a condition and mesh mask. They are used for the advanced simulation. So condition is used when you want to set a special condition for a local area. For example, a rubbing condition, adaptivity, or anchoring conditions can be set. And mesh is used when you want to define a special mesh condition for the local area. And simulation is used to define the simulation area for performing the actual calculation. Therefore, defining the simulation area is very important. And if you define the effective area as well, more accurate results can be output, because when using both simulation area and effective area, the server calculates for the effective area, and then simulation results are only showed up for the simulation area. And PDD is used for PDD simulation considering the effective area. It is also the advanced option. So, if you want to run the simulation, you should define the simulation area. Please remember this. In this time, let's define one layer. I will click layer number 0 and then let's change the name as pixel and select metal as a pixel electrode and then click OK button. Now that I have defined the pixel mask in the technology editor, so I can design the pixel mask. Look at this. And I will explain what functions can be used to design a mask. Please take a look at the toolbar at the top. And toolbar is divided into 3 types. 1, 2, 3. The first part is to manage the layout file. For example, save it or load the previous saved file. And the second part is to change the cell mode, such as selecting or moving mode. And lastly, there are various types of tools for designing the mask in the form of a shape. Mask design is the most important role in TechWiz Layout, so I will explain in more detail about the features. So when you click the first icon, coordinates, you can draw a rectangle, circle, polygon, or path through the coordinates. Compared to other icons, this option is quite complicated to use, so I will talk about it later on. And you can draw any polygon that you want with this poly option. Please click it. And to create a first node, please click the left mouse button. And for the last node, please double click. And if you want to draw a straight line, please move the mouse while holding the Shift key. So the polygon is moved very easily, and it is also possible to copy and paste it by using Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. If you want to stop it, please press ESC key. Plus, click on the icon to create a rectangle. Click the starting point and drag the mouse. And then click the last point at the end. Seemingly, there is no difference between the two. However, the node position is different. At first, please take a look at the polygon rectangle. As there is a node at each vertex, the polygon can be easily converted to other polygonal shape like this. On the other hand, a rectangle drawn with a rectangle icon has a node at the midpoint of each line segment. So if you move the node point, only the size of the rectangle is changed. That is the difference. And then to create a circle, please click the circle icon. Also, when you draw a circle while holding a Shift key, a circle with the same radius is created. In the TechWiz layout, every mask you draw is composed of lines and nodes. Therefore, depending on the number of nodes to form a circle, it can be an angular circle or a perfect circle. To check this, I will copy and paste it. and please click the right button and select Properties. As you can see, this circle consists of 24 segments. I will change it as 80, and then I will change it as 12. So as you can see, a circle with 12 nodes looks like more angular than a circle with 80 nodes. However, forming a circle with a large number of nodes is not that good way, because as the mesh length is too small, divergence can be induced. So I totally recommend to use 10 to 12 nodes. When designing the layout, most of the circle-shaped mask will be a via hole. However, since the via hole is covered by BM, the shape of the via hole does not affect the transmittance calculation. Therefore, there is no need to implement a perfect circle. So there will be no problem with drawing a polygonal circle like this. Also, if you click the path icon, you can draw a path-typed polygon like this. And if you click the text option, just set the position for the text and enter the contents. So far, I have covered how to form a polygon mask simply by clicking on the icon. And from now on, let's go back to the coordinates function. And then let's go back to the coordinates function. The first element type is a rectangle. First of all, you need to understand the meaning of the pin position. Pin X and pin Y are the references of x-axis and y-axis. Pin X types are left, center, and right. Also, pin Y types are bottom, middle, and top. So for example, if you select left as pin X and bottom as pin Y, the pin position will be this point. And if you enter 0 as post X and 0 as post Y, width and height are applied as follows based on 0, 0. Next one is a circle. Similar concept to rectangle. As shown in the figure, it is very similar compared to rectangle. So if I set pin X and pin Y to center and middle and input 10 to post X and post Y respectively, it means that the center of a circle becomes 10, 10. And radius X and radius Y is the radius along the X and Y axis. And the following is how to create the polygon and path through coordinates. When entering the coordinates, there must be regularity in whether input is clockwise or counterclockwise. So for example, let's make a square with a side of 5 micrometer. I'm going to enter the coordinates in counterclockwise, like this. So, in this case, you have to enter 0, 0, 5, 0, 5, 5, and 0, 5, like this, like the clockwise. The method to input the coordinates for the path is also the same way. Therefore, you can design the mask by clicking the icon or using this coordinate function. So far, we have talked about how to create the mask by using these functions, and the following one is an instance. To check this option, I will create a new rectangle like this. Then the first thing to do is to make a new cell. Click the right mouse button in Cell Explorer and select New. I will enter the cell name as EX2. And then if you click the instance, you can select the reference cell. Let's select the reference cell as EX. And after that, the information of the cell size appears here. Then this one is the scale factor, which can set the ratio of the reference cell. Then enter the number of cells to be copied. For example, if 3 is entered in column and row respectively, 3 cells in the horizontal direction and 3 cells in the vertical direction. Therefore, total 9 cells are created. Also, X space and Y space mean the space between copied cells along the X and Y axis. If you click the OK button, now, every time you click the mouse, total 9 cells are created automatically. If you want to stop using the copy option, just press ESC key. You can see that total 9 cells are created as follows. Also, through the instance menu, you can check the design of the reference cell. And now, let's edit the reference cell. I will delete this mask and I will leave only 3 types of circles. And let's check. That's right. As EX2 refers to the EX, so EX2 is automatically changed like this. So this is the main feature of the instance function. And the next one is port. Port is only used for the resistance calculation. So if you don't need to calculate the resistance, it is not then necessary. And next one is ruler. Ruler function can measure the distance from this node to this node and this node. So by using this function, you can measure the distance very easily. So I just talked about the toolbar very briefly. And then from now on, I will describe the element functions which can deal with mask very effectively. So before I explain about the element, I will delete all of the mask. And then also I will define a new layer called common. And I will change the color too. So this one is called element. Mask can be rotated and aligned and also grouped by this function. And among them, I will explain in more detail about these 4 functions called Boolean operation. The first one is union, the second one is intersection, and the third one is subtraction, lastly fragmentation. The name of each function literally contains the meaning itself. And before I explain about it, I will draw some rectangles. Just click pixel and then draw a rectangle. That's the same way, click the command and then draw a rectangle like this. And then just drag like this. To copy and paste it, press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So the first one is union. Union is the union of multiple masks. Please note that it always follows the properties of the first polygon selected. For example, I will select the yellow one first and then click the blue one. And when I click the union, the polygon shape is changed like this, and the color of polygon will be yellow. And the next one is intersection. In this time, I will click the blue one first, and then I will click the yellow one. So only the intersection area is remained, and the color of this area will be blue. That's right. And subtraction means the difference. So at first I will click the yellow one and then click the blue one. So only this area is remained. Lastly, fragmentation is used when the overlapping parts between masks are split into individual polygons. So I will click the blue one and yellow one. So each polygons are separated like this. But as I click the blue one first, the intersection area is blue. So once again, please note that it always follows the properties of the first polygon selected. It is very important, so please mention about this concept. So the following is a description of the menu when the mouse right button is clicked. There are various types of options. For example, copy, cut, paste it, or you can calculate the area of a polygon just by clicking this option. However, I just focus on the main features, and the first one is move or copy. Move left, right, up or down literally mean that the polygon will be moved to the particular direction. For example, if I click move left, as you can see, a polygon is moved to the left. But let's check the by coordinates option. The first one is datum point. Datum point defines the pin position with absolute coordinate system. We already talked about pin position and pos X and Y when we talked about the coordinate option. In contrast, when using the relative position, mask moves as much as the user-defined dx and dy values. Also, if you check remain to original position, the original mask does not change its position and another new mask is moved. In other words, the mask is copied. Before checking this option, I will delete all of the masks except for this mask. So let's check the first one, datum point. I will set the pin position X as left and pin position Y as bottom. Also, pos X and Y will be 0, 0, and this point is 0, 0. Also, I will check remain to original position. So it means that this original position will be not changed and a new polygon will be copied here. Let's check. That's right. And also let's identify about this relative position. Just check this option and then enter the dx and dy as 5, 5, and then also I will check remain to original position. So also, as you can see, the original polygon is not changed, but it shows the movement by 5 in the x direction and 5 in the y direction. The second option that we talk about is a convert to. At first, I will draw 2 rectangles to show you this function. There are 2 types, poly and port. By using this function, it is possible to change the properties of a mask to a polygon or a port. I drew a rectangle mask, so I will change it as a polygon. Did you see that node positions are changed? Compared to the rectangle, you can see the difference. So this one is a polygon. Therefore, you can change the shape by moving the nodes. And the next option is expand. This function allows you to enlarge or reduce the mask. If you click it, you can see the distance window. Positive value means mask enlargement and negative value means mask reduction. Also, the direction is a normal direction of the segment. So, for example, let's enter 2 and minus 2. Compared to the original one, this one is much bigger and this one is much smaller. And the following option is a round option. To make the mask to be rounded, new nodes are added to both sides of a node in the corner in a user-defined distance. So the existing node is removed. As an example, I will click a round option and then I will enter the distance as 1. So you can see that change the polygon shape more rounded. The next option is digitize. By using this function, unnecessary nodes can be removed. If you click the digitize, you can see this window. So normal, tangent, and angle values should be entered. And the meaning of each item is as follows. So please read about this part. And I will show you the example of the digitize option. So by using digitize function, I will remove unnecessary nodes. I will use the default values. As a result, 3,636 nodes are removed. I will click OK. Therefore, the number of unnecessary nodes are reduced. And let's move on to the next option. Repeat. You can make the mask repeatedly using this option. At first, select a mask and then go to the repeat option. After that, enter the number of columns and rows that you want to copy. For example, I will input 5 respectively. And X space and Y space mean the X and Y axis lengths of circumscribed rectangle of the mask. And direction can set the direction of the copied mask. And let's click OK. Therefore, total 25 masks are created. And lastly, let's see the properties. If you click properties, you can check the properties of the selected mask. So for example, this layer is a pixel. That's why the layer name is defined as pixel. Also, there is another special option in the properties function. Let's go to the attribute tab. In this tab, electrode definition is available. The most important concept of the electrode definition is that electrodes with the same name are electrically connected to each other and they have the same potential. I will show you the example. So this green one is sustain and this orange one is pixel, and there is a pink via hole. In general, sustain and pixel electrodes are electrically connected through the via hole. However, it is also possible without defining a via hole by using the electrode definition. Let's check the properties of the sustain and pixel electrode. So, click pixel and then go to the properties. Of course, the layer name is pixel, and let's go to the attribute tab. Also, electrode name is defined as pixel. And let's check this sustain. The layer name is sustain. However, you can see that electrode name is defined as pixel. So, as you can see, this sustain mask and pixel electrode have the same electrode name as pixel. Therefore, in this case, the simulator assumes that the electrodes are electrically connected to each other and they have the same potential. So, you don't need to define the via hole in this case. Just utilize the electrode definition option. Additionally, there is a simple option. You can insert or remove a node by using Control key. So, at first, I will draw a simple polygon. So, if you want to delete a node, press Control key and select a node. In the same way, if you press the Control key and place a node at the desired position, a new node is created. So as you can see, this option is very simple to use, but you can utilize it to change the shape of a polygon very easily. And I will talk about the check options. Useless or dummy nodes may occur the divergence of the solutions or take a long calculation time. Therefore, optimal mask design leads to efficient calculations. There are 3 types of check options, and the first one is redundant node. Literally remove the redundant nodes from the layout. Therefore, divergence of the solution can be prevented by eliminating the unnecessary nodes. And the second one is electrode. You can check the defined electrodes. Just select a specific electrode. For example, I will select pixel and then click Find to confirm. As you can see, only the pixel electrode is visible. And so far, we have checked various functions that can be utilized in TechWiz Layout. From now on, let's design the actual mask and run the simulation with the simple TN example. So the first thing to do is to create the new cell called TN. And then I prepare the examples. Based on this information, let's define the tech file. The first one is gate. This is a metal. The second one is a data. The third one is pixel. The fourth one is a BM. It is drawing and BM. The fifth one is simulation area. Lastly, a VIA-HOR. This is drawing and content. So we are or define the layers. As you can see, layer manager is updated. And then next, let's draw a mask. I will draw the simulation mask. This large sphere is the simulation mask. So click the simulation and let's click the coordinates. The starting point is 0, 0 and width and height is 50, 50. So I will enter 50 and 50 respectively. You can see that the simulation mask is created. And then next I will create this pixel electrode, this one. So click pixel and then let's go to the coordinates. Actually, this pixel electrode consists of 6 nodes. So in this case, polygon is very useful option. I will add 6 points. And then there must be regularity in whether input is clockwise or counterclockwise. So in this case, I will enter the data as counterclockwise from this point to like this. So the first one is this one, and then as you can see, there is a pixel. And then next one is data. Please click data and then let's go to the coordinates. So the width is 5 micrometers and height is 50. So I will enter 5 and 50. Like this. Gate is very similar to the data, so I will draw the gate. In this case, width is 50 and height is 5. 50 and 5. Like this. And then I will draw these 3 parts. Click gate and then I will draw this, and click data. Like this, and then I will utilize the union option. So I will combine these two masks like this. In the same way, I will combine these two gate electrode like this, and then let's draw a via hole. As I mentioned before, I totally recommend to use 12 or 10 nodes. So I will select 12 in this case. And let's draw the VM. Actually, this VM mask is not essential because we have the pixel mask. However, I will draw this VM mask. I will invisible other layers, and then click BM and like this. Then I will utilize this fragmentation option. So older send to back, and then like this. So this one is the pixel mask, and then this one is the VM mask. So let's check all of the layers. Gate mask, data mask, pixel, via hole, VM, and the simulation mask. One of the most important concepts is electrode definition. To give a brief explanation, I will just check the data. So I will call it as data A and this one as data B. Please look at the data B. In general, data B and pixel electrode are electrically connected through a via hole. So, how can I define it in the simulation? The answer is utilizing an electrode definition. Click the data B and select the properties and go to the attribute tab. And then if I change the electrode name as a pixel, the simulator assumes that data B and pixel electrode are electrically connected to each other and they have the same potential. Even though data B is a data, however, the electrode property is a pixel. So it is very useful function. Therefore, please keep in mind.